Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now in today's video I'm going to be breaking down a somewhat requested topic, which is how I made my first $10,000. Okay, now this is gonna, this story that I'm about to unfold a couple of stories, okay, but this is gonna range from the age of 6 up until the age of 16 or 17, which is the point where I had officially made my first $10,000. Okay, now I want to start off by saying that, when it comes to making money, it's pretty much like everything else in life, okay? The more you do it, the more you focus on one thing and getting better at that, the better you're gonna become at it, okay? And so as I said, it took me between the age of 6 to 16 or 17, which is, 10 years, before I had officially made my first $10,000, okay? Now that's a long time to make $10,000. Granted, I wasn't only focused on making money in this period, and there was a long period in the middle where I completely neglected entrepreneurship and where I wasn't focused on making money at all. But I'm just saying, it took me 10 years to make my first $10,000, and today it's not an uncommon occurrence that I made, $10,000 in a single day, okay?
Okay,
And I don't say that to brag. I just really say it because it goes to show that the more you focus on doing something and the more you focus on improving yourself in a certain aspect of life, the better you're going to become at it and the easier and quicker it's going to happen, okay? So yeah, I just want to get that out of the way. Now, quick disclaimer, I want to start off by saying that I've never been employed in my entire life. I've never, had a job as a pizza delivery guy, and I've never been working in a supermarket. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I just never wanted to, and I was always just trying to figure out different ways of making money.
I knew exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I had no idea what to do.
By myself. I was so focused on I wanted to make money by myself, and I didn't want to get a job. But having a job, there's nothing wrong with that. And I know for a lot of the people in the academy, for example, who have been working in supermarkets or different jobs, that's also what has really been a contributing factor in motivating them to actually become entrepreneurs, right? Because they've been sitting there working in a supermarket, and that's where they've come to the realization that I don't want to be doing this, all day for the rest of my life. I need to build something of my own, okay? So it doesn't matter how you come to the realization that you want to become an entrepreneur, as long as you come to that realization if it's right for you, okay? So yeah, we all have different paths and paths to success and to becoming successful entrepreneurs. And in today's video, I'll be breaking down my path, okay? So this all starts at the age of 6, because between 6 and 7, I made my first around $800 by selling my old toys, okay? Now, obviously, being a 6 to 7-year-old boy, I definitely wasn't finished with toys. I just already knew at that point that I would rather have money than I would have my toys, okay? And so I actually, went as far as to sell some of my favorite toys just to make some money. And my first ever money I made was $200 I made from selling a toy car garage, okay? Now, the way I sold this was whenever my dad had guests over for dinner, I would take all my toys, all the toys that I was willing to sell, and I would place them on a carpet in front of the dining table, okay? And so when they had finished their dinner, I would have placed all my toys like very neatly, as I like to say, as if I was responsible for decorating, Hermes store display, because they were always very good at this, making nice looking displays. Hermes has always been like perfectionists at that. So yeah, I would always put all the toys out on this carpet, and then when they were finished with their dinner, I would kind of annoyingly, offer my toys to whichever guest my dad had over, and I can imagine that would have been pretty annoying. And so I don't remember, it was like by the third or fourth time I was doing this, someone finally took the bait, so to say. One of my dad's friends, Anders is his name, he looked at my toy car garage and he said, "How much do you want for it?" And me, not really knowing how to drive a business, I was just like, "How much do you have?" And then he pulled out a banknote of 1,000 Danish kroners, which is the equivalent, adjusted for inflation, that's the equivalent of around $200. So yeah, he literally just gave me the $200 for that toy car garage, and I was officially in business, okay? So that was the first money I ever made in my entire life. Now, as I said, I sold some more toys from the age of 6 to 7, and I made a total of around $800 from doing this. Granted, I sold off some of my favorite toys, but in my mind, that was completely worth it. Now, the second stage of my entrepreneurial career came one day when me and my dad were walking in the street, and we spotted this, well, actually in a courtyard. I don't know why we were there. It was like in the back of a it was in the back, it was in the courtyard behind a wine shop. So my dad had bought some wine or something, and for some reason we were in their courtyard. And so out there was a little bit of a destroyed cigar cabinet. Okay, so a see-through plastic cabinet for storing cigars, and it had these diagonal shelves. Okay, actually I think this cabinet is still in the basement of my family's apartment in Milan, so if I can, I'll get them to send a picture of it and I'll throw it on the screen right now. But yeah, it was a see-through plastic cigar cabinet with 3 or 4 levels of these diagonal shelves upon which I could store candy. And so when I saw that shelf, when I saw that cabinet, immediately my first thoughts were, I'm gonna sell candy with this. Okay, so we brought it back home. It was a little bit, there was a piece of plastic that had been like, smashed off, but it didn't really matter. It still worked perfectly. It had the door I could open and close from the back, and then from the front you could just see through, right? And then if someone bought something, I would just open the door, take out whichever candy they wanted and give it to them. And so I took this back home, and then I just needed some candy to fill it up. And thankfully my dad has always been self-employed, and so this gave us access to certain supermarkets that private individuals didn't have access to. And so whenever we were gonna host a dinner or a birthday party or anything, we'd go there to buy cheese and meat just because it was cheaper. And so whenever we went there, my dad would go buy all the stuff he needed, and I would immediately go to the candy section because as a kid I was absolutely obsessed with candy. Okay, I always wanted, whenever we traveled to a country, I would buy the most rare candy it was rare for me because I came from Denmark. For them it was probably just normal candy. My mom's calling me. I'm gonna have to call my mom back. Yeah, I'll call her back after this video. I would always find rare candy, which was essentially just normal candy in that country, right? But for me, it was foreign and rare candy. So I would buy all the candy I could get and bring it back home. And sometimes I would literally just keep the candy without eating it and just store it in a box. I had this box of rare candy. And sometimes I would actually eat the candy and just save the candy wrappers because they were rare.
Hey, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I had this candy obsession. And so I said, coming back to the story, when we went to the supermarket, I would always rush straight to the candy section, and here they had these boxes, these big boxes of candy, with 100 or 200 pieces, which you guys have probably been to those candy stores where you can go in and mix and match all the different candies that you want, and then you weigh it and pay by the 100 grams, right? And so these were the boxes they had in there, the same boxes that they had in the kiosks. They had those for bulk, right? So you could buy these huge boxes with like 200 pieces of candy. And so I would buy that, and then I would sell the candy for like twice of what I had bought it for, right? So I had like 100% margin. And so I'd buy a bunch of different boxes with the money I'd saved up from selling my toys. I had money that I had saved up from selling all my toys, and so I would use that money to buy a bunch of different candies and bring it back home. And I would put some of it in the plastic cabinet and just some of it on, a large wooden table, right? And so I had like these chocolate bananas and these licorice pipes. I had those in the cigar cabinet, and then I had like candies and different stuff on the table, right? And so whenever I had friends, or my dad had friends who had kids, whenever they came visiting, I would invite them into my room and sell them candy for a profit. And I know this seems, I was a greedy little bastard, truth be told, but business is business, and I just wanted to make money. And so yeah, in the span of 1 or 1.5 years, between the age of 7 to 8.5, I made around $1,500 from selling this candy. Okay, so at the age of 8, yeah, probably by the time I had reached the age of 8, I had made my first almost $2,000. Okay, so to me that's quite a remarkable feat, and I love that story. I'm very proud of it. I'm a little bit pissed at my family that they didn't capture a photo of like that candy store, because I just remember it so clearly. It was the perfect setup with the cigar cabinet, all the candy. Like it was just a remarkable setup that I had made for myself. And so yeah, I made quite good money selling this candy. And then at a certain point I stopped doing that. I guess I got a little bit too old to sell candy. I don't know where I stopped, really. To be honest, I don't really know where I stopped. I guess I just had other priorities, because from that point up until the age of 14, around 14, I completely neglected entrepreneurship. And it's not like I decided that I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I was just focused on making friends. In the earlier, from 8 till 13, I was just focused on making friends and being with my friends. And then from 13, 14, 15, I got more focused and I got more into girls, right? So that's pretty natural, I guess. But at the age of 14, I started my third venture, so to say, and that was reselling sneakers. Okay, so this was the time where sneakers was really popping. You know, you had all the new Yeezy, the Kanye West Yeezy releases, and a bunch of other, you know, Supreme, Nike sneakers. You had so many different sneaker releases in this period, and I believe it's still the same to this day. But in my mind, you know, that time range where all the new Yeezys were releasing, that was really when the sneaker hype was at its peak. Okay, I might be wrong, but that's how it is in my world. Okay, and so at that time I got into a bunch of raffles, won a bunch of Yeezys. Winning those raffles here in Denmark was incredibly easy, because there were like 9 different stores who got stocked up with Yeezys, and there weren't that many people applying for the raffles really. So every time a new pair of Yeezys released, I would pretty much win a pair of Yeezys, or sometimes 2. Granted, I got quite lucky. Some of my friends didn't win any. But yeah, I got quite lucky, and then I resold all of those Yeezys. I won the Supreme Nikes as well, and a bunch of different other sneakers. And I resold all of those, and you know, in the end, I probably made around $2,000. It might have been a little bit more than that, but you know, around $2,000 in profit from reselling these sneakers. Okay, and so let's add it up so far. Okay, let's say $800 for the toys, $1,500 low guess for the candy. That's $2,300, and then $2,000 for the sneakers. Okay, so at the age of 14, I had made my first $4,300 from selling toys, candy, and reselling sneakers. Okay, and so after the whole sneaker hype, I got really tired of that. I was like, what is this? It's so overhyped. And so that's when I really started, you know, realizing the potential of doing business online. Keep in mind, up until this point, I had only been selling physical, tangible goods, right? None of this has been online business by any means. Sure, you know, some of the sneaker reselling was done online, but it was still all physical goods, right? And so, you know, at the age of 14, 15, I really started realizing the potential of getting into online business. And so that's when I started my Instagram men's fashion, you know, theme page, whatever you want to call it, okay? And so within a couple months, you know, I started a men's fashion page, just posted a bunch of random, nice, aesthetic looking men's fashion pictures. And I got it to like 23,000 followers pretty quickly. Like there was a huge spike, you know, it really just took off at a certain point. And then I got to like, 23,000 followers, which to be honest, that's not a whole lot. I was getting like 5, 6, 700 likes on my good posts as far as I remember. And so that's not a whole lot. And you wouldn't really think that you'd be able to sell shoutouts off a profile with like 700 likes. But this was really, you know, at the start of this whole selling shoutouts thing. And I believe if I was going to get into it today, it'd be a much more saturated, much more difficult market. But at that point, I could literally just reach out to so many small men's fashion influencers and say, hey, do you want a shout out? I'll charge you, you know, I started selling them for like $15 per shout out, and then I went up to like $50 or $75 per shout out. Okay, now I'll be completely honest and say that I don't believe I was providing a lot of value through these shout outs. Okay, I don't believe that these influencers that I was shouting out were gaining a whole lot of followers from doing this. So yeah, I honestly don't believe that I was getting providing a whole lot of value. Looking at it in retrospect, it wasn't that valuable of a service. And so yeah, do I regret doing it? No, you know, it was an experience for everyone. I had an experience selling these shout outs, these influencers, you know, got the chance to kind of measure how big of an impact getting a shout out could have. So everyone learned in the progress, but truth be told, I wasn't providing a whole lot of value with this business. And so yeah, eventually I decided to move on, also because one, it wasn't that valuable. Secondly, it just wasn't scalable. Okay, I was dependent on sending, you know, doing so much outreach just to sell a bunch of shout outs for a one-time purchase, right? And so when this really peaked, I was making like $50 to $100 per day selling these shout outs. And so yeah, in total, I believe I made $4,000 or $5,000 from selling these shout outs in total. And that was between the age of like 15 to 16, okay? So at this point, yeah, I've made, you know, almost, you know, over $9,000 from the toys, from the candy, from the sneaker reselling, and from the IG shoutouts. Okay, now the final thing that took me to $10,000 and actually far beyond that was dropshipping. Okay, now I did dropshipping between just before I turned 16 and all the way up to like 17 years of age. I quit like, I believe, you know, pretty much on the day of turning 17. That's when I quit dropshipping. So yeah, I did dropshipping for a while. I made good money for that. Doing that, I made like $10,000 plus, actually much more than that. I'm not going to go into detail on how much I made from that. But really, that's without a doubt the worst business model that I've ever been in. Okay, that was dropshipping. The profit margins were so low. Like I can't even describe how low my profit margins were. Like we were talking 20 to 30%. Okay, so if I was making $1,000 in a day, I could take home like $200, $300 at most. Secondly, that's decent, making $200 per day. A lot of people think that's more than enough. I have a different perspective, but sure, it's good money. Okay, I'll be honest and say that it's good money. Secondly, again, I just wasn't providing value with this business model, right? Who's calling now? This one, I'll have to get back on this one too. I should probably put my phone on flight mode when recording this. Truth be told, I wasn't providing value with dropshipping either. We're talking poor quality, low quality, cheap China products with shipping durations of 2 to 3 weeks. And overall, just poor packaging, poor branding, poor products, long shipping durations, cheap prices. I was just taking a cut of the profit. And so the end consumer who would be standing there with the product, they'd be like, any person could tell this was probably not the best quality product. And they'd just gotten a cheap product. And so this is not an industry that I wanted to be part of by any means. Sure, I made some good money from doing it. In a very short run, I got out of it. Pretty much as soon as I reached success with it, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And so that's when I transitioned over into becoming an agency owner. Okay, to starting my social media marketing agency, because from doing dropshipping, I had learned how to sell products with social media marketing, right? That's essential to do dropshipping. You need to learn how to sell these products through Facebook and Instagram advertising mainly, okay? And so I had gotten quite good at that. And so I was like, okay, I want to use this knowledge to do something else. And so that's when I thought, okay, what if I can take this knowledge and apply it to other businesses and sell their products that are actually, high quality products that I believe in and that I would like to sell for them. In that process, I could sell high quality products. I could put a smile on my client's face, and I could just take in, monthly payments of, it started with $1,800, and it was like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in retainers, right? Monthly police. That might actually be an ambulance. Wow, this video is a little bit disturbed. I apologize for that, guys. But yeah, as I was saying, like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 retainers per client, right? And these are all just retainers that were coming in every single month, and I could take 100% profit from that. And I have no expenses in this process, right? It's 100% profit for my agency, right? Whenever a client pays us $3,000, we take 100% of that, right? Sure, I have some team members now. We're paying for a few different softwares, but the profit margins are so close to 100%, which is not something you'll find in any other industry, okay? The clients are paying for the ads, right? They're paying for your service and the ads, right? All you have to do is deliver the service, and they'll pay you a monthly retainer every single month, and you can take that. If you're just running your agency by yourself, you can pretty much take 100% of that and stick it straight into your pocket, okay? So yeah, I believe, we went from, as I said, 16 to around 7, from the age of 6 to around 17, selling toys between 6 and 7, making around $800 from doing that. Selling candy from between 7 to 8.5, making around $1,500 from that. Then at 14, I made around $2,000 from reselling sneakers. Then we had the IG shoutouts, which I made around $4,000, $5,000 from doing. In that period, I actually also wrote an ebook on Instagram growth, which back then I believed that ebook was going to blow up. I wanted to sell them for $10 a piece. I think I only sold like 10 of those ebooks and made like a total of $100 from doing that, and I was convinced that this ebook was gonna blow up. I had just come back from New York, and I was like so inspired, and I was like, I'm gonna write this bomb ebook on Instagram growth, and it's gonna take the world by storm. I spent a lot of time writing that ebook, and I made $100 from it. Okay, so that just goes to show that it's a journey, it's a process. It's gonna get better and better the further you come in the process, the more you improve yourself and the more you better your skills. yeah, that particular example should actually really go to illustrate that, right? I spent so much time writing this ebook and I only made $100 from it, right? I was feeling pretty lost at that point, right? But I just kept on going. And as I said at the beginning of this video, today making $10,000 in a single day is not an uncommon occurrence in my business, okay? So yeah, again, I don't say that to brag, it's just to show you that you just gotta keep going at it, okay? So yeah, that was my journey from 6 to 17, making, yeah, we went a little bit above $10,000, but essentially making, you know, crossing the $10,000 mark at around 16 or 17 years of age, okay? So I thoroughly hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.